Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second session of speech webinar. I am Neha Thakur, and with me, my co-presenters, Shabeena Fernandes. So, if you have attended our first session, you can recall we have talked about speech, language, communication. We have also talked about receptive and expressive development. We have talked about red flags. We have also talked about strategies which you can do with your children at home to help them develop in their speech and language. Today, we will going to be covering prerequisites of speech, language, and communication, and we are going to talk about play therapy and play development. Let's get started. So, what is prerequisite mean? It means it's a prior condition for something else to happen. So, what is prerequisite for communication? What do we need before a language to be achieved or acquire? What are the abilities or what are the things that we need to develop a proper language? We need sensory ability, we need motor abilities, we need speech production mechanism, we want processing skills, we need to have stimulating environment, and we also want means and mode of communication. We are going to see one by one how they are important. So let's see what are sensory abilities. We all know our basic five senses, which is smell, auditory, vision, tactile, and taste. And apart from that, we have vestibular, which is for balancing. We have proprioceptive, which is our muscle and joint positioning. So, if you are sitting in for one position for a long time, you will get fatigue and tired, and you will change your position automatically. So that is for proprioceptive. And we have a interoceptive, which is your gut feeling. So your inner body awareness, that is your interoceptive. So through the senses, we take information from our environment, we gather it, we store it in our memory, and we will talk about it or we can recall it whenever we want in our present time. So I want you to take like this 1 minute or 1 second, like few seconds, and if I ask you to recall your favorite memory right now. Okay, so if you recall it, you might think about maybe your favorite food or maybe your favorite holiday, and you can feel yourself that you are reliving that memory. How can you do that? Because you have relived, you have gather all this information through your senses, like through your vision. You have seen this beautiful, amazing view when you went to vacation, or when you are tasting some tasty food. You still can feel that taste, or when you are listening to your favorite music, you still, if I ask you to recall your favorite song, you can just recall it because you have took from your auditory inputs. So these sensory abilities are very important for us to gather information and store it. So if we can't store it, we cannot socialize or recall it, or we can't communicate, or we can't just. Why is it important? As I said, it helps language development, cognitive growth, fine and gross motor skills, problem solving skills, and social interaction, and it enhances your memory. Let's move on to motor ability. Now, motor ability is your movement ability. So whatever your movement is going on in your body, that is your motor ability. We have two sets of motor abilities, which are gross motor skills and fine motor skills. So gross motor skills are involve your larger muscles of your body. Okay, so you're sitting, standing, walking, running. All this are involve larger movements, larger muscle movements. So that is your gross motor skills. Whereas your fine motor skills are your smaller muscles, especially your hands. So cutting, sewing, or writing, painting, these stuff involves small muscles. So these are your small these are your fine motor skills. Okay, so when I'm talking, I'm still using my motor ability. So my movement of my lips, tongue, teeth, and jaw movements, these are also motor skills. So our motor skills are very important to have our proper speech. So I want you to take a moment and if possible, just give your answers in your chat box. So in these four pitches, which one do you think is a gross motor and which one you think a fine motor? So if you have wrote as hopping, the child who is hopping and the child who is walking as a gross motor, you're right. And if you have wrote as a the child who is writing and the child who is playing with the blocks as a fine motor, that is right, because they are using their fingers, their fine motor, their smaller muscles to do their skills, and over here they are using their larger muscles. So why again it's important? It's important for child to explore environment and become more independent, to explore and to feel and develop their sensory abilities. Okay, and they also need, as I already told you, to where if they can't move, if they can't explore, if they can't talk, they are not going to develop. Now, speech production system. Now, in speech production system, we have few systems which are working together, which is respiration, phonation, articulations. So our brain sends signals to our these systems, and these systems are working all together. So we breathe in. I have this diagram. So we breathe in. So we take our breathe, like our airflow go through our lungs, through our vocal folds, through our pharynx. Then we have our nasal cavity and our oral cavity. So we have nasal sounds, then we have our oral sounds. So if you can sense it, like if you say na, ma, these are our nasal sounds. So the sound comes from your nose. And if you say like pa, ma, ma, sorry, not ma, pa and pa, pa, o, a. So these are our oral sounds. I have a small video to share with you so that you can see the movement and the place, the how the sound flows.
Bean, bends, boy, budge, cease, chip, chops, coat, coil, coin, coo, cook, found.
You see how is it moving, how the tongue is moving. Like, so the combination of the whole thing is very important for a proper speech production. So if you want to produce a certain sound, your whole system needs to be working together and properly. Now, after our speech production, what else do we need? We need our processing skills. So what do we need our processing skills for? So if say that you have hearing ability, your sensory skills are working fine, okay, your motor skills are working fine, your hands, legs, mouth is moving fine, and you're unable to process, then there is no point, right? So you need your processing skills as well to understand, and you need to express yourself. So you need to, if right now I'm saying I'm sharing some information, to decode that information, to understand that information, you need to process it. You need to be attentive. You need to understand the meaning of it. You need to store it in your memory. You need to recall it whenever you want. You need to recognize, like if you're reading letters or if you're reading a book, you need to recognize your alphabets, your words. You need to recognize the sound of what language I'm using, and you need to then when you need, or when you want to express, you need to resonate, and then you need to generalize your ideas. So your processing skill is important, as it's you can't communicate with your processing skills. So as I said, we have the speech chain going on. Me as a speaker, I'm telling you, I'm sending you this coded messages, and with you as a listener, listening through your sensory motor ability with the combination together. Okay, so you are using your auditory skills to hear, your vision to see the video or the picture or the screen I'm sharing. You're using your motor skills to type and share your answers or opinion or ask questions. So these all works are working well, and we are able to communicate and we are able to understand. each other. After that, what else we need, what else the child need after having a processing skills, what else the child need, we need to have a stimulative environment. Now, what is stimulative environment? So right now you are sitting in your rooms, you are having your headphones, your headsets, so you created this environment so that you can nobody disturbs you when you are listening to our webinar, right? So similarly, we need to have to develop a language, we need to provide proper stimulating environment for the children to uh, so that they can develop a proper speech and language. So how can we do that? First, you need to have a proper caring bonding with your children. So you need to have a very nice relationship with them. I try to understand them. I'm sure you do, but like sometimes even we have, as we are so occupied with our regular stuff going on, sometimes we are unable to understand our kids. So maintain that emotional bond with your child. Then you need to have a proper speech model, you need to be a proper speech model. Now what I mean by proper speech model, you will be saying that yes, I do talk to my child anyway, like what do you mean by that? I correct my child, I provide my child whatever he needs. What do you mean by proper model? What I'm saying over here is you need, I see a lot of parents giving too many instructions. So we need to get down to their pace. We need to get down to the child pace. We need to talk to in a slow manner. We need to maintain the content what we want to say, but we should be, our rate of speech should be slow. It should be accurate, like we need to just get down to their level and we need to produce our speech sounds. So it's okay because the child will try to imitate you and child will try to talk like you. So if you get down a little bit and if you're talking clearly, softly and slowly, it will be easy for child to understand and imitate and produce sounds similarly. And try to provide opportunities. This was also said in the strategies in our previous session. So always provide opportunities to your child. I Most of the time as a parent, what we tend to do is we will provide them everything on the time. So if it's a lunchtime, we will give them. If when your child is thirsty, so you will never let him or her ask. You will just take out your water bottle and just provide him with the water or with water. Give him an opportunity, give her an opportunity to ask mama water, mama lala, or whatever it is. Let the child have that opportunity to ask you and to express himself. Don't just schedule it and just give away whenever the child is when you know what child needs. Don't just rush and just provide it immediately. So let him ask when he's hungry, let him ask when he wants to go to toilet, let him ask when he is hurt, let him express that. If you're understanding, be patient with him. Try to listen, and if you are unable to understand your child, say, can you say it one more time, do you mean this? Give him an options. Okay. And also you can create let your child explore. Okay, nowadays we don't have sand like before, so let him play in sand, let him have a little water play, let him explore different texture, let him enjoy in the nature, uh, smell different flowers, or let him sense the smell of different fruits. uh, so you can have different textures, provide different texture toys like blocks, wooden blocks, plastic blocks. We have soft toys and sound making toys, different sound making toys. So let your child explore with different toys. Even if you can't have so many toys, we have, so nature is the best way to explore different textures. So different flowers, different fruits, different textures. So let them explore that. It helps them calm down and get their frustration level down when they see different texture, when they feel, when they explore their environment. So let them do that. And this help children to have a normal, like to have to build up their memory. So when they explore their environment, they are building up their memory, so it will help them build up their memory. So provide them with when you can also share your pictures, like family photos, or it should be in a brighter colors, or storybooks with brighter colors. And you can also show in the mirror, like they can see themselves, and just talk about it. So this you might be thinking that I might repeating myself. These are the strategies already spoken, but this is kind of environment which you can create at home, and this will help your child to develop very nicely in their speech and language expression. Okay, let's see. Now we have mode of communication or mean of communication. So after having all this, like our sensory ability, motor ability, speech production, processing things. Now how do they communicate? So we have in two ways. They need to communicate either verbally or non-verbally. So verbally is when we are talking, delivering our words through our mouth orally, okay, or in a written form. And non-verbally is when they are expressing themselves through their body language, posture, gestures, waving, pointing out, and with their tone. Pay attention to their tone. So always pay attention to their tone, because the tone, sometimes when the child cannot express, the tone differ for hunger, for when they're upset, when they are cranky, when they are just happy, they want to talk but they are unable to talk, but they can express in a different pattern of tones. So notice that. So combination of this prerequisites, we have a development of our child. So we need all these abilities, these all skills to develop a child in a proper, like the combination of these skills, we have a development of our child. Now let's look at the play development of the child, and play therapy, how it is, how it can be done, and how it is helpful for your child. So I will invite Shabeena ma'am, please take over.
Play and power of play. Who doesn't like to play, right? So all of us like to play, and all living things, whether you see a dog, you see a bird, they all play, and we enjoy watching others play also. In fact, usually we watch a cricket match, we watch football, and even old people play. We play chess, even elderly people play. Play is defined as a range of intrinsically motivated activities done for learning, recreational pleasure, and enjoyment. There are many benefits of play, especially for a child, and more importantly, for a child with speech, language, and communication disorders and concerns. It's not a new age thought that to introduce play as a rhythm of work and performance related activities, as it's ancient as our culture. Even in our culture, in Indian culture, we have play. And I'm sure your grandmothers would have told you all about it, and we would have seen. It surely stimulates the brain development. Neuroscientists have found it a significant change in the brain chemistry and physiology with change in enrichment of the environment and play on children. These studies are real. I haven't quoted the studies, but these studies are real, and they've shown a change in the brain structure itself. Now, power of play. Early play has the power to better the intelligence in the later years. So don't underestimate play. It sparks creative thinking. It promotes impulse control and emotional regulation. Many of our atypically developing children have difficulty to regulate their emotions, and so play helps. It helps for better physical health if they are going to be on a physical play. Better emotional health, the sportsmanship comes from play. Grows social competence, to think of what other people will be thinking, the power of thought. How is the other competent planning? What is their next move? And also empathy. You lose, other person lose, and you feel sorry for the person who has lost the game. It teaches life lessons. In a play, a child can pretend and learn. What if I lose my mobile or my purse? What will I do? What if the food falls down? What will I do when I play? So, a lot of life lessons can be learned during play and in the process of play. It also builds better caregiver and child family bonding. It's stressful to take care of children with communication disorders, and a lot of bonding is lacking sometimes because it's very draining to go for therapies, it's draining to work with a child, and a lot of bonding happens when play comes to place. Finally, play develops vocabulary, communication, and speech, and that's why we have this in our topic for the speech department. Now, development of play, I'll quickly go through this. It starts as early as 1 month, right? A baby focuses on objects which is 8 to 10 inches and follows the object, a play object, startles at sounds, watches intently when somebody talks, watches at their mouth. That's why usually we have the mobiles hanging and we have the rattle for the children and the mouthing toys. The child quietens for low pitch. These are all responses which stimulate play, right? In the 2nd month, he smiles directly at people and locate people in front and turns towards the sound source. So lovely time for parents to engage in singing and talking to the child. By 3 months, the child recognizes the mother and holds objects. So the mother is the primary caregiver along with food, along with diaper change. There she goes and sings and talks to the baby. By 4 months, the child squirms and squeals and laughs and watches the hand and shows the excitement and responsiveness to what is being told or what's happening around. By 5 months, the child also mouths objects, smiles at other babies, and at self in the mirror. And he usually thinks that the person on the mirror is not himself; it's another baby. So he bangs, babbles, looks at things he's dropped. And further, at 8 months, he concentrates on toys one at a time. He sits up by this time, so he mimics facial expressions. He responds to name call. By 9 months, the little one has joint attention. Now, joint attention is looking at the adult, looking at the object, looking back at the adult to show that they are interested in that object. He's able to pull up the self and stand up by self and catch ball and shift from one hand to another at this point of time. Joint attention is very, very crucial for further social, language, speech development. By 10 months, a child can anticipate surprises in a song. So say mother says, tickle, tickle, tickle at the end of the song, or a peekaboo, imitation. The child tries to imitate and shows preferences to sounds that he hears in a language. At that point of time, if he's familiar with one language, he will not pay attention to the sounds of another language. By 11 to 12 months, he likes other children, but doesn't play with those children. He likes to look at them. He imitates most of the actions like talking on the phone, and he'll be blabbering and sweeping, mopping, cleaning, uses one object to reach another and displays affection. Further, 12 months to 18 months, you can see more purposeful in the way he explores objects. He knows that the tissue paper box is there. You pull it out, something comes out. And treats objects in appropriate manner and shows functional use of most objects. Especially we ask parents, interview, we ask them, does your child know the use of this particular object? The spoon is for eating and not for throwing or something else. This is the time he uses his first word at this point of time. And he follows simple instructions, directions. This is important for play, right? And vice versa. He understands gestures, signs, along with speech. He hums, he sings along. He indulges in turn-taking activities. Some of the children in our atypical development do not have turn taking even later, but it develops at this time. Your turn, then it's my turn. You take the ball, you throw the ball, I catch the ball. So that's how it is. He can sit and do activities for a few minutes on a table chair as well at this time. He continues on exploratory play. Pretend play emerges at this point. Solitary play is already there, but less of it right now. Associative play, we'll see all of them, and functional play. That's why I have put it all in capitals. Now, what is solitary play or solitary play is when a child learns to operate and build things on her own or his own. A child may make an imaginary friend at this time and talk to the imaginary friend, and later forget that they had an imaginary friend. Now, exploratory play, it gets as messy as this boy's face. They explore things. They want to try out things. Children perform on the objects using senses. They do the mouthing. They dropping things, and they look if you're going to pick it up and then drop it again. And they keep on dropping. So many times when you find toys at the or objects under your building, you know some little one is there exploring the cause and effect part of it. Shaking, looking, putting it together, putting the objects into the water and seeing what will happen to it. Throw it out. That's it, right? So some of our atypical children do have this happening even later. Yeah, so they also have the atypical children also have a preference to explore an object only in that particular manner, and they may not do it any other way. For instance, spinning a wheel, they would like to only spin a wheel and not let the car go on a track or on a path or on the floor. It's usually the exploratory play is usually replaced by functional play, where after exploring an object, pushing the button, switching it on and off, you'll find the lights and on and off all the time, going on tuck, tuck, tuck. And now they go into functional play, the use of those objects. Around 1 year, they move around to use that object for the right things. In a typically developing child at this point of time, may not use words much, but a typical child will use words also during play. Now coming to what you can do when the child is doing exploratory play and functional play. Ensure safety. This is the time they put all the small objects into the mouth and ears and nose. Provide toys to explore, something to insert, push button, building things, driving things, emptying things, assembling things. And you can see in this picture, this little fellow is putting a part of his toy into the CD player or cassette player. Teach and demonstrate how to use and operate it. Predict that toys will be explored and may be damaged. It's part of learning. It will be banged, sucked, and manipulated. Do not disturb this style of play. Whatever playing they're doing, don't disturb it too much. You can make them to play with you. Be a cheerleader. Oh, you did it. You put it there. You pressed it. You did it. Be responsive to the child. Don't ignore it. For the therapist, primary caregiver. Now coming to observe, listen, and wait. Follow the child's lead and interpret what the child says. Be on the child's eye level. Be on the level that the child can see you. Imitate the child. These are some strategies I have covered last time. Now coming to pretend play and symbolic play. Pretend play involves acting out on objects, on people, and act out like someone. It reflects symbolic thinking. It's not the original person. It's not the original object, but it is done. There's delayed imitation. What they have seen mommy doing before, they're doing it after some time. And there's a lot of imagination. They're doing extra things other than what mommy is doing. Pretending to be a doctor, a bus driver, the maid servant, farmer, mummy, teacher, shopkeeper, Peppa Pig, any character they would like to pretend. Now they may have a tea party also. What can you do to make pretend play and symbolic play more exciting? Please don't be lured into buying all those toys which the market is giving, okay? But you can use some of them. Plan out the event, plan the characters, keep things handy if necessary, or you can make any object into any object, right? And pretend it's something. Use creativity, have fun. That's what we do in play therapy also. Ask questions. Oh, what did you put inside? How did you make the burger? Enact a story from a storybook. See if you can have play date. Play date is other children coming and playing. Journal it, take pictures. Now, what's parallel play, associative play, and cooperative play? This comes further by 2 years. Parallel play is when the child is playing alongside another child. And they're not playing with one another, but they try and imitate. They look, what is the other child doing? And they try to do what the other child is doing. It comes around 1 year. Here, they don't interfere with what the other is doing. In associative play, the children participate in similar activities. They share the same items, the sand or the clay together, but they are not having a cooperative play. They may set rules at this time. They may get annoyed. Hey, you're touching my thing, whack the other person, bite the other person, right? They learn rules. They learn boundaries, how much to go, how much not to go, what to take, what not to take. The cooperative play is when a child is interested in the people, the activities, they follow rules, they reason, they work together, they build together, they make it all possible together. Now, what can we do when they are in a parallel play? Plan play dates again, give instructions, and if it's a therapy setup, I would say that I will have a group session. Set boundaries, plan goals, record the responses because we are interested in the speech language communication responses. Don't push too hard, right? Okay, now coming to play therapy, right? We're coming here to know about play because how play therapy works in the sessions and in FCDC, we want to know about play therapy. The speech and language assesses the child and provide an evidence-based approach and strategies for children with speech and language communication disorders. It is a facilitatory approach. When I say a facilitatory approach, I'm going to enable the person to do it. I can do it, but I want the other person to do it, but I'm going to enable the person to do it. How well I enable the person is the success of my therapy. Speech therapy involves 3 processes. All speech therapy involves the process of establishment of speech, language, or communication behavior. It involves generalization, and it involves transfer and maintenance. When I say establishment, if I want a word to come into the child's receptive language or expressive language, I first work on the receptive language and establish it in the child's repertoire and understanding. Then I generalize it across people. That is not only with the speech therapist, but with the parent, with other people in the home, with other people in his communication environment. And then I generalize across situation, across places. I generalize it across objects. Now, I'll give you an example, right? So if I'm teaching the child to respond, understand the word give, G-I-V-E, give. And this child, I have tried and worked on the word give, and the child has understood the word give, and the child is giving every time any object in the hand. And when I say give, without gestures, because I know the word is stuck in the mind and processed. Now, I let the child give not only the toy, one toy, various other toy. That's when I generalized. I asked the mother to say, give me, and then the child gives to the mother. Same thing with a maid or IMA or another therapist on the floor in speech department. Then I tell the parent to use the same instruction at home and ask the father to ask the child to give. The same way other members of the home. Then it's generalized in different in places. Then it's generalized with different objects. So this is generalization process. It's very, very important how the child does the establishment and generalization. If they learned it well, it will be theirs. If it is there, that's the time of transfer and maintenance. That the child knows and understand, give. Anybody talking to another person and say, give me, and the child understands that this person has asked the other person to give. So that's the point I was driving at when I say establishment, generalization, maintenance, and transfer. This is usually the process for any speech disorder. We go through these three processes, and it has to be done well so that the child, it is their communication and it's in them. There are different approaches for treatment and for different speech disorders, but mostly play is the ideal modem for all approaches among children. I say that specifically because we are dealing here with children. For instance, if in delayed speech and language development due to autism spectrum disorders, there is DTT, discrete trial training approach. There is DIR floor time. There is PECS, there is TEACH, there is, we saw some of them last time. We talked about it very briefly. And there is RDI, that is Relationship Development Intervention Program. There is Talk Tools, there is Prompt, and there is Social Thinking, and there is ABA method. But in all these approaches, play forms a very, very common thing. How much it is structured varies from every approach. So that's one example I have given. There are other speech disorders. There's speech disorders like articulation and phonological disorders. The clarity of speech is not there. There, as a speech and language pathologist, I may use a traditional approach. I may use phonological process approach. I may use phonetic placement approach. I may use phonological cycles approach, but I may use play for a child. So that's what I'm coming at. If I have a child with stuttering disorders, tutla ke baat karna, there is a Van Riper's traditional approach, there is Midwas approach, but play will be the basic modem in all these approaches for my children, because they are children. During play, you can observe what a child is good at and maybe groom your child in the future. Every therapy session also becomes an evaluation session for us. What new interests are developing? Is the child adapting to change better than before? What new communication behavior is emerging? Now, play therapy, more to play therapy. Play-based approach foremost captures the child's attention because our client is a child, right? And it's most attractive to the child to engage in speech, language, and communication. Occupational therapist and our behavioral therapist also use play, but our play is mainly targeted towards speech, language, and communication development. Play therapy involves detailed assessment of speech, language, and communication. It also involves keenly observing and documenting child's play. We usually ask for the preferred play of the child. What is the preferred item of the child? What is the kind of play does he do with that toy? Does he line it up? Does he spin the wheels and see the wheels? Does he let it go? Does it treat it like a baby? So this is what we observe, we look for, we ask when we're doing assessment and observation. Then after that, we have the preparation of SMART goals. All of us know SMART goals. S is for specific, M is for measurable, A is for achievable, and R is for relevant, T is for time-bound goals. And usually in our FCDC, we have a 3-month goal, and we make the goals with the help of the parents and with collaboration with the parents. And we review that every 3 months to see where our child is going, what the activities are done. Activity and play material are planned according to the goals and the child's preferences. More to play therapy. Prompts are something that are used to support expressive language. A prompt can be gestural. Now, the receptive language you're building in, but for expressive, we want the child to say the words or express the words in some way. I can use a gestural command. I can use a gestural prompt with my hand. I can use a visual. I can use a verbal. Okay, what is the word for that? I can use a physical prompt, touch, tap. Reinforcements have to be contingent. Reinforcement have to be there for speech therapy, because all of us need encouragement. Every good learning happens with good reinforcement. Appropriate reinforcement, contingent reinforcement has to be provided for the target speech behavior, what I want. Reinforcers can be social, verbal, tangible. Tangible is something that you can taste, see, touch, and social and verbal is good job. Therapy can be direct therapy or indirect therapy. Direct therapy is when the therapist is working directly with the child and they are showing results and the parents are watching too. Indirect therapy is if I cannot meet the parent every week, twice in a week or once in a week, then I give the instruction to the parents how to do. They video record it and send it back to me, and I give an instruction, you could do this better, you could do that better, and guide them over it. That's indirect therapy. And that's what is happening nowadays with lockdown. We are doing a lot of indirect therapy, and thanks to our parents, they're doing well. Either ways, explaining the parent what the goals are and also listening to their concerns and partnering with parents is what is followed in FCDC. More to play therapy. We need to prepare the room without distraction. We need to prepare the room in a way that the toys are kept out of reach of the child so that the child can ask for it, and one toy at a time. So preparation of the room is also necessary for play therapy. Be flexible. If you have planned an agenda, you have taken some toys. If the child does not want to play with that toy or the book, it's okay. We can plan something else. Document the session. Documentation is very, very important. We as speech and language pathologists, we document. We encourage parents to document. Maybe all of you are not good at documenting. Preferably, we can do a video recording to say, oh, the child slowly muffled that word. We missed it in all the excitement of the play. So a video recording is usually very, very helpful. Use strategies. We have talked about the strategies last time. Complement the sessions with specific therapy approaches or integrated approach. As I mentioned, some of the approaches, we can integrate, use 2-3 approaches together, or we can use one specific therapy technique alone, but play as the base. Encourage independence. Let the child wear his own shoes. Let the child keep the box in the toy rack. Let the child help the child to instruct the child. That's also receptive language, to put the toys inside one by one as they are named. So we are encouraging independence for the child. Choose time when the child has optimal learning. We usually give the appointments according to the availability of the therapist and the parents, but learning happens best when the child is in the optimal arousal level, when the child is prepared to learn. Some things are not allowed in play therapy and in our sessions as well. Hitting, breaking, hurting, they are not allowed. Plan the activities according to the developmental level. So we saw the development of play. In that, as a parent, as a therapist, we plan according to their developmental level what they can perform on the objects, whether we are taking flashcards, whether we are taking storybooks, whether we are taking puppets, accordingly. Play could be with clay, with numbers, with whiteboard markers, with building blocks, with musical instruments, with puzzles, with nesting boards. Nesting boards are that in which a block fits into the correct shape. Play could be real things. I would not do justice to my mentor, Kim Chadda, if I don't say this, that play with sand, clay, real clay, muddy clay, wood, water, toys, leaves, twigs, nature walk. Play could be those which are helpful in daily living skills, like fixing a sandwich. We have fixed many sandwiches, making lemonade, making a dough at chapati, making a cookie with a cookie cutter, making cakes, even computer programming, making a video, photography. Uh, the other day, there was a webinar by Templar Garden, and she said some of the things that she enjoyed doing is imagine that she's in a space station, and play can be outdoor activities or indoor activities. We usually have therapy in indoors, but even outdoor can be made use of. Our therapist, Dr. Madhavi, had taken a group of children for a trip where they had outdoor activities and so much of language came. That was her experience. For example, if I'm taking a kitchen set for play, I would say, what could be the receptive language that vocabulary I can develop for the child? What is the expressive language I can develop for this particular child? How can I build in turn-taking behavior? It's your turn to stir. It's my turn to stir. How can we develop social and play skills and can develop for this child in the session? And some children prefer sameness. They want the same play over and over again. Some want change and variety. Some have comorbidity conditions. They may have autism plus hyperactivity disorder, plus they may have intellectual disabilities. So we have to understand their level and comorbidity situations as well, and the sensory issues to address that and develop the goals and monitor the goals for the child in the session. The idea is to bring about a gradual and a definite change. Now it's time for questions. Before that, I would like to say that our physiotherapy seminar is next month. We would like to know if you have any specific topics. This is our physiotherapist email ID, and you can call us for that. This is our contact details we have shared in every session. Thank you. We're open for questions. Yeah, somebody's asked this question. Can you suggest some of the turn-taking games for a 3-year-old child? Yes. Now, first of all, I need to see is she okay for how is her developmental stage? Is she in the time of exploratory play, or she's come to the point of pretend play and cooperative play? Now, turn-taking play could come only if the child is going to be in that age and she is able to tolerate and willing to associate with another person or another individual. So a turn-taking game can happen only if the imitation games are come through. If the child is able to imitate you back and forth, clap your hands, sing a song, repeat after you, then we can move into turn-taking games, and it has to have very gradual, and surely it happens. Yes, I have another question. My kid is 18-month-old. She is using only 5 words like amma, mama, tata, like that. Is this fine? Yeah. If she's fine, I can't say she's fine or not fine, but all I can say is that we have done the development of speech and language, receptive and expressive language last time. You can go through that, and if you still have doubts, do get her checked up with our pediatrician, our developmental pediatrician. If there is any concern, you can see us. If there's no concern, you're in a win-win situation. Yes. So my child repeatedly uses the same words for 10 times. How to distract my child? Yeah. So first of all, we need to know why is he repeating the same words. It can be an echolalic behavior. So if the child is repeating the same words, either he's self-regulating, or he's trying to get your attention, or the child does not understand what you're saying, so he's repeating. So we need to look at that point of view. And how old is the child? A smaller young child, try and attempt to explore his speech organs and say repeating is okay, but a child as he grows older, if he's repeating, we need to have a look at him. Yes. Thank you so much that you want to join our daughter in your therapy center. You have written here, and we really appreciate having you so much. And when we'll reopen will depend upon when our coronavirus will give us a break. Yes. So the screen is blurred. Okay. Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. When child is not interested in play, will be in his own world. How to engage him if he's non-verbal? Imitation is good. So this is by Sushma Gudur. Ma'am, I would say that usually one of the strategies that we use for the child to start involving with us, he's doing imitation, right? So he may have to be involved. We have to get involved in the play he likes. If he prefers coloring, crayons, if he likes books, alphabets, if he likes lining up, you get involved, and you can. I have a feeling maybe he has already had some therapy done. So with what I understand, but you can contact us. Our email ID, our website is there for you. Our numbers are there for you. Is any slide okay? Okay. I'm seeing the chat. Yeah. I think this is all the questions that I have for now. Yeah. Thank you very much for listening to our webinar, and I hope one of the tools that I realized that is very helpful for speech language activities is online speech therapy games also are available. So please do try and use them. Yeah, I have one more question here. I don't want to miss it. Autistic children, she can sing prayer, but not speech socially words. What can be done? Any specific strategies that I can use, please? Yeah. Usually what we do when the child sings very well, we kind of interrupt, playful interruption. Then we change the song a little bit, and a child with a spectrum, he does not feel comfortable about the whole thing. Then we get the child's attention, and then we reward it. Then we move into closure songs where we sing if that prayer song, you sing the song and you leave in between, your child starts filling. After many times of doing the closure activity for singing, then we do closure activity for sentence. So we see with our, we eat with our, then then we start with those statements, and then we do the closure activity for sentences. From singing, we have moved into closure activities for sentences, very known usual sentences, regular sentences that we've used day in and out. And then we can come into slowly making it more spontaneous, more initiated, motivated speech we can bring in. So thank you very much.